How many are you thinking of 5.5? The first half of version 5.4 and many of you. You're already thinking about Furina. Let me see the comments, or 5.5 Shilonen, Paresa. Sianyon and Ian-san are 4 stars that paints very powerful. Why the players? Is Genshin always thinking about the future? In this case, it is normal, because there is a version, but why the characters' banners no longer sell it? Why are the reruns no longer something that breaks first-rate sales? The character arrived, but the great example Alekino was a character that first... It was a record sales in Genshin, and then it was a banner more. Quite a few very normal numbers. Below average or Mavuika, who speculated that he was going to be the best-selling banner in history, overtaking Alekino. He couldn't get to those numbers. Genshin Impact players no longer. Why is this? Leave a good like, a good ulti of Bennett. Subscriber, leave a good comment for the algorithm. Thanks for enjoying and watching the video. Thanks for all the love and support. It doesn't cost you anything. It's totally free. Recommend and position the video. Thank you so much for all that affection. Thank you very much. If you are eating or what you are doing while watching the videos. Comments that you eat or what you do while watching the videos. Welcome and invite you to. I'm not doing stream this week because the community exchanged me, helped me. He proposed to me. He gave me a little extendable vacation. So if you didn't give me a stream, I'm not on stream, but get ready for the big comeback because I'll come back with 1,000 ideas. New, fresh, lots of new sections that I want to implement and that are recurring. And let's go with why don't the players throw out the banners? Well, number 1, there's a precedent. That we've talked about in other videos like Bennett is a problem. Nerf to Kazuha, or a video that you don't know. You have seen Adahita being watching this video, that is the Inferfuls. Characters add by. Its features are impossible to nerf here and are a safe bet if you are new players. Or not so new, but you're afraid that maybe your average table Chinese Mona might have. The time takes power creep, and it turns out that in the end it does not end up using of none of the aspects. As for example, it happened to poor Ganyu, or poor Hudao, who were very much loved in their versions and regions, but they have received one after the other power creeps, and although they can make all the content of the game, they have characters that make it much easier. Efficient, with more numbers, more fun, more love of the players, more interaction in the stories and along etc. that in the end you can see as main whatever you like to be given. A lot less attention to that character and he has less ability to do anything. Well, the first point is, indeed, that Hoyoversus was wrong. Did he have a big mistake or not? We've talked a lot about Genshin Impact players with the first 4 stars, and instead, in time with some jewel that's continued to appear, as for example, Kuki or Chevrus, Lata and who knows if Yansandate. This, to sum up, that is the fundamental pillar. One of Thema, so people aren't throwing many banners anymore and sales are already stalling. Let's say, without taking off here, no one is dying of the game and these exaggerated things that have happened. No, don't worry, that doesn't have to do with the video. Of 4 stars that can come out at any time on any banner, and many of them you, gift them in the store that you can buy them free to play in Constellations or... Even Xiangling give them to you all also for passing the abyss, or in all the rites of the torchlights you can choose a 4-star free Yu from among them Xingqiu, Xiangling, and Lanyan who are also very hot and these characters give you the ability to do all the... 2 trends. 1, a lot of people think they were wrong, they didn't know the impact. That they were going to have these characters and they find it hard to exceed the line of these characters. Shapes and corrects, they are not like this today because the only character that survives everything, this is Bennett and Kuki if at all in their variant of Hyperblooms. But we do not see Xingqiu in the best game teams because most late to Furina, or a combination of Furina, Plus and Lan. No, we see Yangling practically up to table put 7-8 down because above already in the best in the Kinihan Mualani slot is Mavuika and then Mavuika curry above, so imagine. But it is true that Bennett is immovable. of Kinish, and of almost everything he uses attack, as for example all variants of Raiden. But the second variant of thought is that they were not wrong, is that 100% of the porridges, they have an abusive power creep, and today the initial characters of most porridge, even after just a year, they're practically useless because they're made to sell. And Hoyoverse wanted to break this rule and bring us 4 stars characters that allowed us to make all the content and not feel so pay to win nor so complicated, nor that you were forced to get no character beyond you, fancy the fun, the FOMO. That does affect a lot, at Genshin and porridge in general, or that you love character design by tastes, that it is the first fundamental pillar. Then, or the is not pulling in Genshin Impact by power creep. Power creep is a word that in the Spanish-speaking community did not know each other, and the first time he brought a video talking about it, all the power what? Creep obsession? And the video is over here, plus the video is calls power creep, and people at that time didn't know it, or didn't know the concept, or didn't understand it, or it was not very popular. Call it a word in English that is not widely known by the Spanish-speaking community, and at that moment it was understood. They pull characters that do the same thing as other ancients, so that people throw for the new ones, so that the old ones become obsolete and to some extent or not sell. Or only sell residually when recycling some banners as well as regional banners. Or some other new banner, or if in the future they put some characters to the permanent that always will. Zed the meaning of metan, to clee to the permanent, or metan to tartalia and albedo, to the permanent and this. If it were a normal cycle of a gacha, where the power creep is normal, and from day one people, you know it and you know it, like for example, the Honkai Star Rail, that you are very aware that since on day one everything was power creep and more power creep, and every character that came out to improve the inside as the Star Rail principle came out, that I remember it because if I played it out, and I Juan or Ying Yuan, who was in the end a carrion area, then came out Serverwolf, that what he was doing was power creep. Seala's teams then came out Luoka, that before there were no healers, and there were only Bailu and no. I don't know what Natasha's name is. I think it's the Star Rail Barbara. There were only 2 healers, and of course they brought the 3rd healer, that was Jesus Christ, then boom, and then Ying Yuan was a 4-star buffer, and then a buffer came out. Imaginary that it was also 4 stars, but it's more broken than Jing Yuan, and then it came out. Jing Yuan 5 stars or something I don't remember anymore, and everything was power creep when you used to. That doesn't happen because you understand it, and it's your day-to-day. But when Genshin has had an improvement for 2 or 3 years very slowly, and where there really was a real power creep, not it. We feel because the Dendro element arrived, and with a new element we don't feel the power creep only. We felt new mechanics fun was a funny and very subtle, elegant way to get in. Power creep where no one understood it was power creep at the time because it was not used. Concept within was a positive revolution for everyone, there was no one to complain about. Inside literally, but right after Sumeru in Fontaine 3 years after Genshin Impact, starting the 4th year, Pa and tore the power creep, came a new Valette, literally flat too. Tagia, who is here the kinematics, and I think Joyo, who made a bet and wanted to have to see. With this, with more metaphorical context than just the image and scene within the game. And said here, I'm in charge, and they brought a character who used to play games. That's basically where it all came from. That Genshin players carried a custom of almost 4 years without understanding all this, though if Kazuha, power creep, had come out little by little and Sucrose. Raiden went out and Raiden's teams and Ayaka, who literally Ayaka came out into Inazuma and Raiden in 2.1 were the most played. Then yes, a small power creep. It was not understood like that because Yoimiya also came out, but Yoimiya didn't beat Hu Tao. Came out Yelan. Yelan wasn't exactly better than Xingqiu, but if he did, more damage, had less defensive input, and ended up playing together, so you didn't really know. Felt that way, but the players now feel, and here comes the problem that any new thing is going to improve the above Mavuika. No one had expectations that it would improve Asa. Carry to Alikino until his kit came out in beta, since Alikino was the best carry pyro and overcame everything else, and there was controversy because it also came out in the version in it. The whole Fontaine region, and then gaming over, came Hu Tao and was the best carry pyro, and 3 months later Alikino came out and overcame gaming. and this was already as indisputable, irrefutable, and also to beat record sales was rare that the next carry that the power. Creeper hasn't broken a long sales record, a succession of events and situations that gave rise to people now, after also Shilonen, and Kinnick, and Mualani, who own. Suddenly there are two carry Senetla or ala best teams of the game. In the top 5 are Mavuka, Alekino, Neuvillet, Kinnick, Mualani, and Gaming are all new from 4 onwards. Power creep magic people. And here comes the conclusion, and the fact no longer gives value to the characters. Before the reruns, when came Kazuha the first time, many people said it is not good, and the second time sold more than the first, and third time almost sold more than the second with Raiden. Then every day he's a character because he's a regular chest and he's very fond of him, but he's a middle table, let's say. First and again the third time Raiden came almost over the second time Raiden came. The same with Hu Tao and Yellen, in case the new ones didn't know, the first time Hu Tao came 1/3. A lot of people had a lot of affection for Hu Tao, and sold very well the first time he came, but the first time Hu Tao was in Inazuma just after the Hoyover's for the first time. Anniversary that was terrible, but once came Hu Tao next to Tartaglia, people forgot the A. Funa and Hu Tao sold more than their first time, but it's more Hu Tao the third time he came to the game in TV. Zumeru in the right of the lanterns that came next to Yellen came Hu Tao, Yelan, the Aqua, and the Homa. As weapons banners was one of the best-selling banners in Genshin Impact's history. The third time Hu Tao came, and that hasn't been repeated again today. Characters come out and then comes their rerun, and they don't sell in their rerun. Any more people don't care if the character doesn't. Is Jesus Christ blessed on earth the strongest of the game a link? Not Mega. I don't download it because no, I've got it. They don't throw for the characters Alekino. Their rerun no longer sold any more than their initial banner. And Furina, who is an extremely important character, or Nahida, who is an extremely important character. And Strong did not sell more in their rerun than the first time they came. Furina also has. Furina won't sell any more now than in her rerun or her initial banner, and I dare bet something with you. And when Shilonen comes on 5.5, he's not going to sell more than 5.1. Why is he? This is happening because of all the above people. If the character isn't so hot, it's going to change you. The game will enable you 80,000 teams and power creep everything else, making it one of one. The 3 best teams of the game, excepting the taste factor and a small percentage of the old. Pira, and the last factor is that now there are many other porridges. Before, when there was only Genshin the Miki, people used to say all their quote budget, and here also comes a factor that is the differentiation of the purchasing power of the community. That you see me as the community speaks Spanish and above all Latin American from the English-speaking community, that its purchasing power is very deep. Other than yours hardly, and not everyone has blessing and pass in their car. Community speaks English. If you notice that you do not draw lunar blessings, because everyone has Naripa's blessing and it does not cost you anything. Why? Because the purchasing power is very different. But the point with all this is there are many other games, and what before you just had to choose if to throw for Kazuha or Raiden or for Ayaka or Yellen, or so it would come out again that maybe I wasn't that strong but you liked it. Now if you don't like it, you equip 90% of Genshin's characters. And you say for Shilonen and for the Archon, for example, and that's it, and the rest, even many people decide it. In other porridges, both your time to farm proto-gamers or other coins for other porridges. Like your money if you can spend it, and finally, as you said, the difference of money. While a Gringo, let's say you can spend money on 3 or 4 porridges, a Latin American can spend money in 1, and not that in many cases, with what really for all these reasons people already. I don't shoot anymore. He doesn't throw in banners. How is Hoyoverse going to fix it? I don't know, because I'm not the CEO and I'm not Hoyoverse. They imagine the meme we stretched it in 2 years and all of a sudden. There are reports that he did work in Hoyoverse and it was CEO. How is Hoyoverse going to fix it? I don't know. But NATLAN has been a very difficult thing since it looked like it was the nation that was going to revive the game, and in the end it was Umo is not being the best in the world. And until 5.4 and 5.5 is all very empty, including the version of Alcante, who's so decent but expected more people not? Is happy not in the sense that they complain about everything as on other occasions, but really, let's say a general discontent that much more was expected of NATLAN, and I don't know how. They're going to pretend to fix it in what's left of NATLAN or the beginning of Sneznaya. I really hope so, that we never lose hope. And I really hope that one day what we hope would happen in NATLAN that didn't really happen, and let's all say real movies that made things better. But there's a big problem with the banners, and people don't throw in the banners a little more than leave. A good like a good utility of it, some highly a good eye for you to enjoy. And watch the video of the channel. Be very careful to have a very good night, little girls in Chaito.